Hey gang, we all know Spotify has become the ultimate app destination for music lovers. I have an account and I love it. I find new music by following Tastemaker playlists, and I make my own playlist that I share featuring music from guests that have been on the show. But did you know that aside from millions of songs, Spotify now has all of your favorite podcasts, including How Did I Get Here? Yes, all of your podcasts are available on Spotify. Just go to Spotify.com or download the app from your app store, and don't forget to follow How Did I Get Here? That's Spotify. Millions of songs, thousands of podcasts. Let's get down. Hey gang, it's Johnny. I just want to take a second to talk to you guys about engagement. Right now you're listening to the show, and I'm not sure exactly what platform you're listening to it on. But whatever platform you're listening to it on, you can subscribe to it and get an alert every time a new show drops, usually every Tuesday and every Friday. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday. Whatever platform you're listening on, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, any platform, you can subscribe to it. And if you can leave a comment, leave a star, share it on your social media if it's something that you like, please do that. We encourage you to do that. And also, as far as social media goes, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I am at Johnny Gowdy on Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow. All I want to say is, you like a show, share it, use the hashtag How Did I Get Here Pod. We'll give you a shout out. Thank you so much for listening to the show, and engage. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys all had a good weekend, whatever it is you did this weekend. I had a good weekend. It was a kind of low-key weekend. There was no gigs for Skyrocket or anything, so I just laid low. I tell you what, gang, I've been exercising a lot since I've been home from Houston, last week and a half or whatever. And I've changed my diet. I cut out sugar. I cut out snacks, cut out crackers, cut out cookies, tried to cut out bread. I've still got a loaf of bread here, but I'm not eating it. I've just been eating like salads, lean meats, broccoli, vegetables, berries, bananas, apples. Just no more sodas. That was the thing I think that was getting me. I was having a lot of sodas. And what is that? I was at my grandma's. There's a lot of sedentary time and a lot of soda drinking and a lot of ice cream after dinner and cookies throughout the day and crackers throughout the day. So anyway, cut that stuff out. And I was feeling bloated and just like I wasn't exercising enough. So I got it all together. I actually got this new phone last week, and it came with a watch. So I got this watch. It's able to, you're able to really calculate what all you're doing all the time. And it really kind of makes you a little more inspired to get involved with your own health. So I've been focusing on that lately. I actually, this show's coming out a day late. Sorry about that. I thought that I did a podcast on Sunday with a friend of mine, but I didn't realize it wasn't to come out until July. So anyway, I did a couple on Tuesday yesterday, and I'm putting this one out. One of them that I did. Great conversation with the artist Brian Wolff. We'll get to that in just a second. I just want to tell you guys about a show I'm playing tonight. Tonight, Wednesday, June 15th. It's Zach Loy's 40th birthday bash at Antone's. Now, this is a big deal, man. Zach Loy, my old friend, he plays with the band live. He used to play in a band called Mother's Anthem. He was in the band Alpha Rev, and he had a band called Dames Violet. Now, I've known him since he was like 15. Him and his brother had that band, Dames Violet. He's always been a super sweet guy, super talented artist, and just a really great hang. So he's since moved to New Orleans, but he decided to put together this big show and get a bunch of his like the people that inspired him together to play shows with them. So my old friend Einar and I are going to play a few Gowdy songs at this thing tonight at Antone's. Alpha Rev is going to reunite, and then Nathan Harlan and Casey McPherson, if you know who this is, you'll know what I'm talking about, from Endosheen, are actually going to play Endosheen songs. Matt Nevesky from Blocktober will be there, Lang Freeman from Sounds Under Radio, Will Knack from Blocktober, tons of people. I'll put a link to it in the text of this podcast, but come on out tonight. It's $25. It's for a great cause. It's all to support To Cure a Rose. That's our friend Casey McPherson's foundation, to help raise money to save his daughter and people like her that are suffering from this rare disease. Anyway, that's tonight. I'll put a link to it in the podcast. Zach Loy's 40th birthday bash. I'm going to play about 2 or 3 songs, play some Gowdy songs. It's going to be a lot of fun with Zach on guitar. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Antone's nightclub.com is where you can find the tickets. If not, just walk up, see if you can get in. All right, gang, I have a great show for you today. The great Brian Wolff, who used to be with the band Fair City Fire, is my guest on the show today. He has made a brand new EP that came out a couple weeks ago, produced by my dear friend Frenchie Smith. It's called The Punch. It's absolutely fantastic. He cut it as a trio with his band, Tim Moen on bass and Joe Valadez on drums, who was also in Fair City Fire. Now, Fair City Fire was doing well. They were doing their thing, and then the pandemic came. They decided to take a hiatus. A couple of the dudes moved out of town. They decided, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Brian Wolff decided not to go on as Fair City Fire. He decided, hey, I'm going to go out there and be playing as like a solo acoustic guy, making a living. I'm going to be writing all these songs. I'm going to call it my name, Brian Wolff. You can find him at brianwolffmusic.com. That's 2 F's in Wolff. Anyway, he made this great record with Frenchie. I mean, great. The songs are unbelievable. And I talked to him about it today because I walked around listening to it with headphones. And I do that a lot with the guests that I listen to, but sometimes I don't. And I noticed that today when I was listening to it, I just really connected with the lyrics of his songs, especially this one song called Hope You Stay. But the song Hope You Stay is about playing acoustic shows at restaurants and stuff. And literally the opening line of the song is, oh no, there's a band tonight at the restaurant. Now, how many times have you walked into a restaurant, sat down, started ordering your food, and then a band starts loading in? You're like, man, I just wanted to sit here and have this conversation. Honestly, I'm a musician and I've done those gigs. I know both sides of it, and you're like, I'm sorry, I'll try not to be loud. But anyway, all the complications that come along with those sort of restaurant gigs and the weirdness that comes along with it and the interactions that you have with these weird managers that are constantly asking you to turn down because the guests are uncomfortable because it's really not about you, but you're an artist and you want it to be about you. Anyway, check out this song, Hope You Stay. Great song, great record, man. I went out and checked out his brianwolffmusic.com and checked out some of his videos. The band sounds great, and he's a great guy. We had a really great conversation, and it was very inspiring and fun to talk to. Always fun to talk to Brian Wolff. You can see them performing Saturday, June 25th at the Green Jay here in Austin, and then Sunday, June 26th at the Rail House Bar in Kyle. All right. So without further ado, sorry for the late show. Hope you enjoy my conversation with the amazingly talented and super cool Brian Wolff. Let's get down.
Oh no, there's a band tonight at the restaurant where you've come for food and small talk, and music's not what you want. Well, I'm not sorry, they paid me to be here to sing these songs. Take it up with a manager, just find your seat and don't be here long. Well, it's hard.
Greetings from wherever. Yes, the podcast.
Yeah.
Now that's not what it was called when I was on it. Because that was a different podcast.
It was, yeah, that was with the band Fair City Fire. We used to do Greetings from Wherever. We used to do Say It Loud. Say It Loud podcast.
Oh, yeah, Say It Loud. Yeah. That's right.
And now Greetings from Wherever is something I started by myself like during the pandemic to kind of stay active.
There's a few of those. People started those up. Is yours video? Because it wasn't on the page when I went up there, and I don't know if it's my browser's being weird.
Yeah, no, there was no video. It was just, you're talking about my website? Yeah. It was just kind of audio players. For some reason that takes forever to load on the website. I don't know what the deal is with that. Yeah.
So on this podcast, on the Fair City Fire one, Say It Loud, you were doing like combos with other musicians mostly.
Yeah.
And people and just trying to connect. Was that the goal of that?
Yeah, it was. It started because we'd always like have these gigs with other bands and not know anybody in the bands,
right?
And then we would just like have this podcast before we'd play a show with them.
That's right.
And then get to hang out a little bit, and then we suddenly show up to the gig and know them.
Didn't we jam together once at a thing?
We did. It was Sydney Wright's
birthday.
Thing. Yeah, she had a pajama party or something.
Yeah, I didn't wear pajamas, man.
Yeah.
I was in this band called Pangendrum in like 1989, 1990. I'll show you a picture in a minute.
Please,
It'll blow your mind. We were managed by that place, Fitzgerald's in Houston. Remember that place?
Yeah.
Okay. So they were our management company. So they had their own newspaper, the Fitz Herald, and it was like an indie mag. It was pretty cool.
I'd never heard of that. That's awesome.
In the late 80s and early 90s. And they were like, okay, so since your name is so weird, it kind of sounds like pajama, let's have a Panjandrum pajama party. And so like they came and did a photo shoot at my house in like pajamas and a robe and shit. And then when it came time to do the gig, like I remember all of us at soundcheck, like, you don't wear pajamas? Like, no. Oh, here it is. My aunt just gave me these.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, here you go. It's that band. Those guys are going to have a pajama party. That band, I'm showing them an 8x10. You know what's sad is like there's no representation stuff at the bottom of those pics. Like for a gig called Dave. It was Chris Harkness. Anyway, Fitzgerald. So they did this. So we decided not to do it. We show up at this gig. It's totally packed. Nobody's wearing pajamas except like one dude.
Oh man. Oh man.
And he's wearing like the Ebenezer Scrooge thing with like the hat. I remember.
Yesterday,
dude. It was like 1989 or 1990.
If you're gonna do it, Scrooge is the way to go, I think.
I just love that it was like such a thing, and like only one guy did it.
Yeah.
All right, so it's okay. So you started that pod. You're going to start it back up again, new season. You're going to do it.
I've been thinking about it. It's I feel like there'll be a time when it just like totally makes sense, and I have like a little bit of free time, and like right now I've just been so slammed and busy with stuff. I haven't, as you know, this stuff takes a lot.
It does take a lot
to run. Yeah,
it does.
Because there's scheduling, there's editing, there's the conversation is the fun part. Everything else is a lot of work. So it's like.
This is the only part that's fun. Everything else pretty much sucks about it.
Yeah,
that's how much I like doing this.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I love the connection with people.
Yeah.
And that's always been really cool. And like sometimes where the conversations go, it goes to a place where I'm just like, wow, I never would have thought of that.
Right.
And I love that part of it. But the editing stuff, like promoting it, please listen to me talk to this person. Of it all.
Dude, I just do it twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Please listen to me talk to this person.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. It's fun. I love doing it, but I don't know how to, feel good about constantly trying to make people care about it. You know what I mean?
I don't feel like that's what I'm doing. I feel I'm part of people's like life in a way. Like some people, I am like a part of their day. Twice a week or something, or every once in a while. Or like, hey, let's see how that guy's doing.
You do awesome work, man. I mean, that's like
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't bring you on here to do this because that's just weird. So the other stuff that you have going on is the Punch. You put out this EP June 3rd. I'm so glad that we did this after it came out so we can talk about, okay, it's fucking great. You are a great songwriter.
Dude, thank you so much,
man. And you hit
man.
a lot of stuff on this record. You can tell that there's personal stuff you were going through and working it out. And, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, right? The songs like The Punch itself, Motion.
Yeah.
You're working some stuff out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because the Punch specifically, because we're talking about podcasting, came from having a few comedians on Greetings from Wherever talk about how they create comedy and how they got into it. And they were talking about how for them, comedy, they would get bullied. Both of them talked about how they would get bullied as kids, and comedy was a way to just kind of fight that, beat them to the punch, so they would tell the joke before these people could hurt them with their words. I
was one of those kids.
Yeah, I mean, I was too, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
I learned how to do a dude's coming at you, and if you can make him start laughing, you will immediately ingratiate, and it's almost like prison. Like a prison yard. The schoolyard's like a prison yard. You find the meanest fucking dude, you make him laugh because you can't take him out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm with you, man. But I think my version of that was music and writing and stuff. That was my way to kind of, and I don't know if it really alleviated the bullying necessarily as a kid, but it helped me feel better about it, I guess.
Once I became you're right. I did that shit. I see this picture behind you. I'm 14 in that photo.
Oh yeah.
And once I became that guy, then it was kind of okay, I could move through things without that bullying thing. As they were oh no, man, hey dude, fucking.
Yeah, that feels a lot better.
It does. It feels a lot better.
But, you know, I kind of heard them say that, and I related so hard to what they were saying from my own experience, like being a big kid, you know, just constant, you know, punching bag as a kid, as far as like, you know, just being a little bigger, you know, being bullied a lot. So I thought about what she was saying and how that related to me, and wrote the punch about it. And kind of, you know, I think anymore I'm really trying to think about these songs as like a kind of specific concept, and really trying to like use the songwriting, everything I do with the songwriting, as like almost puzzle pieces to make that concept happen. And I think I don't know if I really used to think about it like that, but I do now.
I love that song, by the way.
Thank you.
Who did the video? You did some drone shit, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's like up above.
It was this guy, Vic Kulagan is his name. Hopefully I'm saying his last name right. He's awesome. So. Yeah. Yeah. He's a good dude.
Okay, let's just get into this, because I have to say. Okay, so I'm listening to this EP yesterday, and last night Rosie and I went on a walk, and I'm like, I have another guy I'm listening to. So I'm like, I'm going to listen to Brian's EP. I'm going to listen to Josh Rouse EP, or album, whatever the fuck afterwards. That'll be a walk, right? A couple miles.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
I'm listening to your thing, and fucking make sure I'm saying this right. I hope you stay. Comes on. And I was like, look, I realize that there's catchier numbers in this fucking album, but your musician friends has everyone been like, dude, you nailed it.
That's the one.
You fucking nailed it. Like the opening line of the song, oh no, there's a band tonight at the restaurant. That happens to me all the time. Like, I walk in and I'm like, fuck. Or you're sitting down eating and you order, and then the guy walks in with this thing and you're like, oh. And then he's like, oh, hey, dude. And you're like, oh, hey, bro. And then this is the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I also provide you with a bestiality live sex show.
Here we go.
It's no big deal. You know, the thing is she's hitting my microphone. So what you guys are hearing is my dog humping her bed, which she'll do for a little while, and then she'll take a nap.
Got to get that energy out somehow.
Yeah. Frustrated.
But yeah, you know, it's I've been on both sides of that, right? You know, I've been the person at the restaurant, and I've also been the person playing at the restaurant. And that song came from the playing side of it.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Did we meet at a Austin Music Foundation consultation?
I think so. I think that's where we met
Brett
for the first time.
And
Yeah.
And you guys were going off at that point you were doing Fair City Fire, but also the two of you guys doing acoustic stuff everywhere. Hey man, this is getting weird.
And I'm still doing that all the time.
You're still doing that?
Yeah.
So you're okay, so this has been, when was that? Like 2016, 2017 or something?
Something like that. Yeah. 2016 probably, at least that long ago. But yeah, so there was a specific time when I just like, you know, this kind of thing has happened a few times, but it was just like this lady walking by with her friends. She was clearly just hammered. It was a restaurant in the Domain. I won't say which one, but if you know where I'm playing, you could probably narrow it down. But she like walks by, and I could just hear her say like way too loud, because she was a little bit more drunk than I think she thought she was, you know, and she just goes like I'm playing, it's loud, and I just hear her say, oh, there's a band tonight. And I was like, oh man, that sucks to hear, but also I'm gonna write a song about you later. And that's kind of how that song all sparked.
Well, everything about it is when the manager comes out, is like, hey man. Like all of that stuff has happened to me at those. In 2004, I was in this band Endosheen, and I was married and all this stuff. I was on the road all the time, and then I left that band. I left my wife, and I was kind of like in this quandary where like, how am I going to make a living? And I had this friend that booked music at all the El Arroyos in town.
Okay,
There was like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
So I was always working like 4 nights a week doing those gigs.
Yeah.
6 to 9, 7 to 10.
Yep.
But you know what happened to me during those gigs was I started getting weird and just like drinking a lot.
Okay, yeah. It's easy to do that because the drinks are free, you know, and it's...
You're just sitting there by yourself. I mean, I'm sure with Brett it was a different scene. I've done those things with somebody else, and it's fun. But like, you're up there, you're by yourself, and you got that weird vibe, and then like kids and, you know, families and drunk dads and...
It can get weird fast. And then people. Speaking of things getting weird fast.
Sorry. My new podcast is like, how
Yes.
long can you watch my dog fuck a pillow before you acknowledge it on the podcast?
I didn't make it very long.
It's actually probably boomerang one of those things. It'd be like, this is
my
what we're
God.
talking about.
That's hilarious.
Sorry, you just hit the nail on the head with this song so well,
thanks,
and it was
man.
an experience that, like, I know so many of us have had, and that's what reminded me. Like, when I heard that song, I started it over again, and I was like, I think I remember, like, years ago, I met these guys. They're like, we want to play like restaurants, and I'm like, how do you like it now, motherfucker?
I mean, it's fine. You know, it's when I
You get
compare
good.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, you learn how to kind of interact with crowds and like have that like different ways to kind of win them over
And
you know?
subdue them. Like,
Yes.
because they can get those, like,
You're not kidding.
someone is in there and they want to hear cumbia, and you just don't have that shit in you. It's a long night. Like, play cumbia. They're like, dude, there's no way for me to formulate
Dude.
cumbia right now.
You are singing to the choir. Yeah, it is so weird how people get about requests specifically. Like, that is a thing. We need to get PSAs about that. Like, the guy playing in the restaurant doesn't know every song that's ever come out.
Exactly.
You know,
Right.
It's your favorite stuff, even though it might be super popular. He just might not have ever learned that, and that's okay.
Dude, that happens in Skyrocket. I think I'm going to start
Yeah.
standing up behind the keyboards. I think it happens because I'm sitting down and it looks like I'm not doing anything and everyone else is playing. You know what I mean?
You got a
so they'll
sweet
always
deal.
come up to me and say some shit to me.
Yeah.
And they do that thing like, hey, can you play such as that? No, we don't know that song. Come on, man. You can do it.
Yeah,
Like-
I hate that so much. Yeah, it's like it's not like I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's not going to sound like this other stuff that we actually like. It's going to sound like 7 people trying to play a song they don't know.
Yeah. And you know, it's crazy because I remember seeing like Springsteen play in Buffalo, and like people always hold up signs at his shows like play this song, and sometimes he'll just pick something random and teach his band live. But that's
Sure.
the fucking E Street Band. Like
Yeah.
that's a different
Right.
animal, and it's always like you said, it's always them figuring it out, and you can hear the difference, and it's kind of fun, but it's like, man, you can't expect that out of the guy like playing at the restaurant. You know, it's a different
Do you
animal.
use like, I have a sponsor on this show,
Okay.
Ultimate Guitar. You know that? You know that?
yeah.
Do you use that thing? Because we've done it before. Somebody one time offered us like at Hanover's or some shit like 12 years ago, like, I'll give you guys $1,000 if you can play this Led Zeppelin song. And we were like, okay.
Do you remember what song it was?
No, because I didn't have to play on it and I didn't get
Okay.
any of the money. But
Man, yeah.
I think it might have been 500. I might have exaggerated just now.
That's
Still, like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a good amount.
In Pflugerville for a guy to be like throwing that around.
I'll play almost anything for that.
The other
Yeah.
thing is like when someone like Skyrocket's a 7-person band and
Yeah.
someone will give me a 5 and be like, hey man, play some Stevie Ray. Slide me a 5. I'm like, dude, that's like 75 cents a dude. What fuck kind of request is that?
Yeah, come on,
Big
now.
spender.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird, but yeah, specifically requests. And I actually, the thing I started doing to like be ready for that is I have this QR code that I don't like put out. I just like in those situations, if I'm striking out with someone and they're getting a little worked up and I could feel it, I'm like, oh, well, like, I don't know any of those songs, sorry. It's usually, like, when I play places out in the country, they want to hear, like, Merle.
Right. Yeah,
they
yeah,
want to hear,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
stuff I just didn't grow up with that, you know? And I like it. It's fine. But just don't know it. And so I'll just often just be like, hey, listen, I don't know that stuff, but here's, like, a QR code with, like, 85 songs that I do know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so...
Yeah. You know, I went on a date with someone a couple of months ago. And we went to some just rando place. And there was a guy in the back, and he was playing. And he was like, what? Like it was, we were the only people there. He's like, what do you want to hear? I'm like, I don't know, man. Just do what you do. He's like, no,
Yeah.
man. Come on, look at this book. He had a book of like fucking 500
Oh,
songs.
God, no.
So I just like found the most random song. I'm like, do this song. He's like, all right. Fiddly-doo-doo-doo. And I was just like, what the? There's guys that's like their thing.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about this because I have to do it too. Those gigs, like you have to play covers
Right.
at those gigs. You know,
Yeah.
just like in my cover band, you have to play covers. You're not going to get that gig if you don't do it.
Right.
You know, no
Yeah.
one wants to sit around in that situation and hear Johnny Gowdy or Brian Wolff whine about their lives.
Yeah,
they want to
exactly.
hear fucking something they know, and they're like, yeah, you know,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that makes them go, yeah.
Yeah. There's a time and a place for whining about your life, and that's just not it. Yeah.
It's your own show.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So the thing is that makes it so hard, and I'm trying to get this across to maybe the audience will understand, and you and I can probably have had this conversation so many times, is that the gigs that you work so hard to prepare for with your band and you make these videos for, and you go and you spend all this money making this record with Frenchie, who, by the way, always does such a great job.
Frenchie's incredible, man.
You worked with Brendan, too, who I love.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, they're
Brendan.
both great dudes. They changed the game for me in so many ways. And
How's that?
I think they just helped me think about music, especially Frenchie. I mean, Brendan, just such a great dude and so good at what he does, but Frenchie's got that, like, just that wisdom that he is constantly not afraid to share, and just like he has this just unique perspective on music, and it's like some of it's kind of like the less is more thing, which I needed to hear that for sure to make this EP, I think, as good as I think it is.
It's really great, and really
thanks.
like and sorry to interrupt you, but
okay.
listening to it on headphones made a real big difference for me. Like I find that like I connect. You know, you really hear what people are. It's like I don't walk in the other room, not hear that line, and then walk in and have no context for what you're saying in the second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're in this song and like really digging into like what you're saying, and it's just beautifully poetic, and you really like are exploring emotions and trying to grow as a human through your art, that's the thing.
100%. That's what I'm going for, and I think that was big. You know, 4 of these songs were written like during the pandemic, and when we all had a lot of time to sit around and just think a lot, you know, and especially us musicians that weren't really playing gigs. I don't know. You were doing live stream stuff. I was doing a little bit of that.
How did you like it?
I didn't like it.
It was so weird. It was kind of fun because I'd get really drunk. And it was kind of like the night of the week that I just cut loose.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it was like the Skyrocket ones for me weren't fun. It was too many people.
Yeah.
I felt like we have like a higher standard of what it should look and sound like than what I do.
Right.
And I felt like we were kind of like shorting people with one camera on 7 people static for an hour.
I was going to ask if you had a film crew or if it was just
No, it's too expensive. We were trying to make money.
Yeah,
you know?
that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, we brought in a dude, like what we brought in a guy to do, because we realized when we could communicate with the audience, we made more money. We're like, Dave, all right, in Houston. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And when we didn't do that, it was like going down, and people would leave. But like as soon as we had a guy, we'd finish a song, and he'd be like, Dave in Houston says that you guys are whatever. And we'd be like, Dave.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But I realized that in mine. So like I was doing him like a month off and a month. Were you doing him just every week?
For a while, yeah. And then it turned into once a month after a while. But
when did you start? Because that money at the beginning, like the first one I did with another dude. It was horrible.
Yeah.
We made $1,400.
Oh my God. Yeah, I never made that.
It was at the end of March.
Okay. Yeah. So you got right into it. Yeah.
And he was like, man, like he was like, we don't have anything. Like, I mean, he went for it, and people were like, whoa.
Oh,
they
wow.
made it rain. It was insane. I made $700.
Wow.
I was like, well, what the fuck do I ever leave my house to
yeah,
play a
right.
gig?
Jeez, this is the future.
But then it leveled out.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It did. But you know, after a while, it became more about, you know, I was writing these songs and I needed a place to play them, you know, and just like because that I might, you know, when I'm writing songs now, I sneak them into those restaurant shows,
Sure.
you know, and then, you know, I've got gigs in my band, and it'll be more of like a prepared sort of thing. But
I
this
saw
is
you
like,
do. It's a fucking hard song, Baba O'Reilly. That was pretty weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good, but I was like,
Thank you.
wow, what a weird song to have to do. And you
Not
did
have
the
to. I
keyboard
love
thing
that
on your
song.
guitar.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess you didn't have to.
yeah, nobody's like,
That's how I was viewing it. I was like,
Yeah.
that would be too much work to have to, like perform.
Yeah, I love that. It's always been my favorite song.
Really?
Yeah.
You sing the shit out of it too,
Thank
because
you.
like your normal singing voice, you go there sometimes, but like when you open up with that, "You're out in the fields," like fuck, like,
There's a reason why it has to be last in the set, you know?
yeah, you're not,
Yeah. Like, I don't have anything after that.
no. So you did this record last summer,
Yeah.
in the bubble, right before the bubble moved.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
we might have been one of the last
Yeah.
last things recorded there at the old location.
I was there for the first things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
We did that
awesome.
Austin Music Foundation. I end up hanging out there once a year for a month.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
really cool.
that's how I ended up getting to know Daniel Sahad, because he was
Yeah.
an engineer guy there.
Yeah.
And that's how I've gotten to know Brendan. He did last year's one, and I just really liked hanging out with him.
It's just such a good place to be. I can't wait to see Frenchie's new spot.
It's Scott Collins' house.
Yeah. I've been there before, but
Yeah.
I know they did a lot to it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see like
It's a great place. It's got
Yeah.
you know, where to me, I know that the tools are important.
Yeah.
I know they are, but it's the guy or the girl. It's the person.
Yep.
You know, wherever Frenchie goes, it's not going to be uncool.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
It's I remember asking him that, like, you know, are you gonna like call the new spot the Bubble? He's like, yeah, wherever I go, it's the Bubble. I'm like, yeah, it should be. That makes sense.
The Bubble, the first time I went to the Bubble, it was in a warehouse, like, and he had like a 8-track reel to reel, and that was the thing. He was still in 16 Deluxe, and they were doing their stuff. It was late 90s, but that was the Bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Crazy.
I can't say enough good things about that dude.
Yeah, me
Loved
neither.
working with him. Yeah.
So you did those. Okay, so let me ask you real quick. I'm all over the place on this, but I just wanted to acknowledge, like, I really like. I feel like I connected with this EP and your music so much that I feel like almost having done a disservice for maybe not listening to Fair City Fire as with headphones on. Like, it really makes such a fucking difference to me.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah, I
because I'm
got
kind of
you.
ADD too. You know, like you start doing something or your phone rings and the record's playing and you miss like 2 songs or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So, you guys, when the pandemic came, you went on hiatus?
Yeah,
And
well,
Brett moved, right?
Yeah, Brett moved, and you know, before Brett moved, I think he just kind of decided he wanted to just do different stuff. Like we were a band for I think at least 6 years at that point, and you know, I think we had a lot of time to sit around and think, like, you know, what do I want to do after all this? Whenever this ends, you know, and it's not over, but it's, you know, we're out there again, which is great. But you know, I think for him it was like, well, I don't think this is it. As much as, you know, it was never like negative. It was just like, I think I just want to move on and do something else with my life. And he's still playing music, thankfully. I love seeing that. But yeah, he has moved since. And then Clint decided to kind of do the same thing. And so Joe and I were just sort of like, what do we do now? I mean, we dedicated 6+ years to this band.
Jeez.
We've been on tour all over the place. Like, it's, what do we do with this? And we decided we could either get a new guitar player, a new bass player, and try to act like it's the same thing. But we decided, you know, we could either do that or start a new thing. We decided to start a new thing and stick together.
And that new thing, he was okay with you calling it your name?
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about it too, because
that's kind of weird to go from like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? We were like 4 guys going for the same thing, and now, dude, you're my drummer.
Yeah, it could be weird. But I think we have had a lot of conversations about it, and like I think we have a lot of good communication between us. And you know, it's really the idea of me naming it after myself is that you know, if Joe and Tim decide to move on, I can get other players and keep the thing going, and don't feel weird about it. You know, it's like always going to be the, you know, if I have to get a sub bass player or something for a gig, I can do that, and it'll still be Brian Wolff, right? Because I'm there.
Dude, that bass player is killer.
Oh yeah, dude, he's a monster.
I can't remember what song it was, but
Tim
there was
Moen,
one song
yeah.
in the chorus that just fucking like, I was like, what?
Is it Halfway?
Yeah.
I love his bass line on
Dude.
that. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, he's a killer. Yeah, and I love those dudes. They're so good. I love playing with them. But, I'm kind of thinking long term, like, I want to do this forever. And while some people realize they wanted to try something else, go in a different direction, I'm like, I want to lean heavier into this and do this until I fucking die,
Yeah. I find a bunch of fucking ways to make money so I can support that.
Right, yeah.
Writing and making records and putting them out.
Yeah, man.
Playing shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a good, too. You got a smart, setup, the 3-piece.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
Yeah,
and you're able to pull off a bunch of stuff. Weren't you working with Kids in a New Groove?
I was, for a couple years. So that was kind of that was full-time work. It was like a 9-to-5 sort of thing, and doing some good in the world, and I loved doing that. Yes.
Did you teach too?
So I did. I started as a volunteer mentor, and then they hired me on as someone to kind of supervise all the mentors, and that it went from a once a week for an hour thing to all of a sudden 40 hours a week, and salary and all those things. And I'd never had a job like that where it was like an office 9-to-5 thing. That was quite an adjustment. But I think that it was never meant to be forever. But like for me, I was just kind of like, I'm going to do this for a while. It feels right now. And then during the pandemic, got laid off for financial reasons and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause that's a nonprofit, too. Right. Yeah. Because I remember seeing you at that Feel the Love, like right before everything shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, none of us knew. Yeah, it was
so weird. That was like the last thing.
Yeah. That like everybody was at.
I think so, yeah.
Because that's usually around Valentine's Day,
It was in
right?
February, yeah. It was at the end of February or something. I remember because I did a song there, and there were these dudes there, and they were like, "Hey, we love that song. You ever think about recording it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Come and record it." And so I went and recorded it at the beginning of the week before everything shut down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I recorded this tune and ended up putting it out like last summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which song is that?
It's this song called Sun, Earth, Moon.
Okay. Yeah. I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know those Studio 601, Eric Harrison and Michael Ingber?
I don't think I do.
They're good dudes.
Okay, cool. Nice.
This dog has destroyed the bed. Hey, what are you going to... Oh, now you're trying to do it to like a half blown up like sex doll or something.
This is just getting sad over here.
So where is Binghamton, New York?
Yeah, so it's in upstate. It's kind of, if you were to look at like where Buffalo is and where New York City is, it's like exactly halfway between those two.
So you'd go to concerts in Buffalo? That's why you went to go see Bruce Springsteen in Buffalo?
Sometimes I'd go up there, but there'd be closer ones. There was a place called Montage Mountain in like the Scranton area in Pennsylvania, which is a lot close. It was about an hour drive. But sometimes we'd get some acts in Binghamton, but it wasn't that often. It'd be like people on the way to somewhere that wanted to do a small town kind of thing. It's always kind of interesting to see what acts come through a town like that.
What brought you to Austin? You came here in 2012?
Yeah, I did.
But the greener pastures for a guy playing music? That's not quite New York City?
Yeah, New York City was too expensive. I thought about it, but I was like, man, I knew people that moved there from Binghamton and to play music, and they ended up working 3 jobs to be able to afford living there and not playing music, And I'm like, I don't want that. So I kind of looked at Nashville and Austin, which were like way cheaper and also super music focused. And I had a couple friends that had moved to Austin already from the Binghamton music scene, and we're having a good time. They like, they were running an open mic. They were like connecting to the scene, just had a lot of great things to say about it. And so I was like, well, I do want to like see where music can take me, because I know I want to do that. I see my future in Binghamton. As much as I love Binghamton as my home, it's like the biggest gigs you can get are like the kind of local festival things, and that's pretty much the ceiling there at a place like that. The internet kind of opens some things, but it's just like I wanted to go somewhere where I could meet people and connect and like be in a music place, So
It's
came to
also
Austin.
like here you've got, and up there too. I don't know why people don't do it as much, but it's easy to go and hit, like where you're saying you lived in Binghamton.
Yeah.
Like it's a couple hours to Buffalo, couple hours to New York, couple hours to, or an hour to Scranton. So it's a few hours to Boston. It's a couple hours to fucking Albany.
I don't know why, but that always felt so out of reach. Like doing that a lot.
Do you
at that
travel
time.
with this? Like, are you going to be traveling? I know we've all not done anything for 2
Yeah,
years, but-
we've been doing more kind of like little, kind of one-off things in like Bastrop and like, we're going to be playing San Antonio in a couple months and like.
Where are you playing there?
It's a place called Chicken and Pickle. I'm not lying. That's
No, I know,
that's
I
the
know.
name of the place. Yeah, it's.
There was a killer gig there in the 90s at this place called Taco Land.
Okay.
That was equally, like, people would laugh and you're like, dude, it's killer.
I don't know what this place is like. It's we kind of got the gig offer and they know what we do. I was like, all right, cool. Let's try it out. And
Yeah.
I'm
You do your own booking and stuff now and stuff.
yeah. And I try to
It's horrible, isn't it?
sometimes
I thought you did that thing at Meanwhile. I did a thing last year at Meanwhile and it was fucking awesome.
yeah.
And trying to get back in was like,
yes. That's been my experience.
yeah, trying to
Booking
buy
Meanwhile.
Xanax
Yeah.
on the street.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of.
It's kind of crazy because I go in there a lot and I've had like staff say, hey, like we
Yeah.
liked your stuff. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you should come back in here. And I'm like, you should tell the people that book this thing that because they need to hear that clearly.
My in there was Jamie, the sound guy, Wellworth.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Crazy Jamie.
He's Nomad Sound, right? Or no? Is
Yeah,
that- okay.
sometimes Nomad, but he's like front of house guy for like a lot of like Jane's Addiction.
Oh,
And,
okay.
like,
I
and
didn't realize
some
it was
bands
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And I know that he was doing Continental Club and then and Sea Boys and stuff, but like those guys go out on tour with people and then they come back and take their regular jobs, but those were all full. So he went. I think he built and installed that whole. That system's fucking great.
It's great.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it can handle like pretty much every kind of music well, and I think
What's
like-
your combo with the 2 amps? What are the 2 amps? I was looking at. I was checking out your scene there.
Oh, I just use like a Fender Deluxe, basically. Just
I saw 2 amps.
I don't know.
One was on a
Yeah.
chair, and another one was on a. Hey, sorry.
I don't typically
Come
use
on,
2
Rosie.
amps. I'm wondering what that might have been.
On stage. Go back and watch your video.
Okay, I'll check it out. What was I doing? No,
Okay,
I typically only use one.
So back to Binghamton.
Yes.
When you what do you remember your first connection with music where you were like, oh, that's the answer?
I think there was like a local, like I was probably, I remember like in like 8th grade or so, and I went to the high school talent show, and I think I had been exposed to a lot of music. Like I loved like, AC/DC and all those acts, and I was kind of already playing guitar a little bit, but I remember seeing this local guy like and his band play Machine Head by Bush.
Yeah.
And I already loved that song, but the way they crushed that song live, at
Yeah.
least when I was
What
in
it
8th
seemed
grade,
like. Yeah.
seeing, seeing 17,
Yeah.
18-year-olds do that, they crushed that song in the auditorium. And it was like, I remember that being a moment of like, okay, this doesn't have to be like on like primetime TV or like at a huge festival to be great, to make people feel things. And like, I think that was a big lesson. And also like, maybe I could do this too.
There is something about that small stage thing where you're like, oh, so there's like to go from here to like Iron Maiden or AC/DC, like it's like, how do you, like, that's a huge step. Like I'm in my
Yeah.
garage. How do I get to like, the Irwin Center
Yeah, right.
or the Moody something?
Right. And that thought can be endless. That idea of like, okay, I'm doing this cool thing, but I bet those people that are doing those huge cool things are thinking the same thing. They're like, how do I
Yeah.
play at Red Rocks or, something? They're
Sure.
like constantly
Yeah.
always like, I don't know. That's how my brain works, at least.
But when you see someone, like, I feel like that's what, like, punk music, why so many bands, like, started then, because you're like, oh, and the Beatles had that, said, like, you know, it seemed like Elvis, like, you're this beautiful dude, and it's like this, there's, you got to be born that way. But then there are these regular dudes that are like, no, we just learned guitar and went to Hamburg for a couple of years and got our shit together, and look at us now.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It makes the hair on my arm stand up.
Yeah, it does. It's, yeah, and it, you know, you learn a lot as you go, but I think that's like a big thing, was like realizing that you could just be a regular person from my hometown, you know, and do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I ended up wanting to do, is make some cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all, you know, that's all I really want to do. I mean, I want people to like it, and enough people to like it so I can keep on making cool stuff.
That's exactly
and
right.
And not get hassled.
That's exactly right. And I realized that, like, we got to play Lambert's as like a release show.
Yeah.
A couple Fridays ago, and it was so fun. And I realized, like, when we were kind of ramping up to that, because Fair City Fire had some huge, like, bigger shows like that, where like a lot of people would turn out, and the energy was awesome. And I realized that, like, that's kind of almost what it's all about for me. Like, everything else kind of leads up to those moments where it's like, we have this huge show coming up, we're hyped, like, everything's exciting. Yeah. People are excited to be there. They might know some of the songs, like, that kind of thing is like, that is the best feeling. And like, it's almost the anticipation of it is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And then you do it and it's fun. And then it's over and you're like, okay, how do I get that high again? You know?
I know.
Yeah.
It's like a heroin addict.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it's weird. Brittany Lobos opened that show?
Yeah, she
How's
did.
she doing? What's she doing? What does she do now?
She's great. So I think Corbella, like, similarly, like, split up during the pandemic, and she decided to kind of go solo. Pretty similar path to mine. And, you know, we kind of reconnected when I saw she was going solo, and we just... We've been friends for a long time, and I just reached out, just like, what's going on? And we just kind of talked for a while, and it was like so interesting how we've kind of had similar paths since the pandemic started, and decided to kind of we started like writing songs together and stuff, which is really interesting because I don't know, have you done a lot of collaboration with like writing? Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Like, it's such a different thing. I don't know if anything will come of these songs. They're cool, but they're you know, we never really wrote them with the intention of like, we're gonna release this, we're gonna start a thing. You know, it's just kind of like, let's get together and write music because it's fun.
Yeah.
And we came up with some pretty cool stuff.
I had a really great I don't do it with them anymore, but we did for a long time. AJ Vallejo and I had a real, like, I mean, we wrote like a catalog, like at least a couple albums worth of songs. Like, that's weird awesome shit, like disco songs, and like, in the 90s.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And it was all, there was no like, there was never any reason.
Right.
Like, it was just like, we got to get, like, let's do another one.
And that's a blast.
It is a blast.
It's a fun way to hang out with somebody. Yeah. It's, you know, a fun way to kind of get to know people a little better, and also like makes you think a little bit outside of yourself. Like, as far as you reach for different things. You do. And like, she's got a very like pop mentality about vocal lines, especially that I don't have. Like, I think I can write catchy, but in the way that rock is catchy.
Yes,
you know,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
like, but like, there's this like Christina Aguilera sort of thing, right? That I never think, you know, I would never think about in a million years. But like, there's things where she'll be like, "Why don't we try this?" And I'm like, man, I just like, that's awesome. I would have never thought of that, you know. And it's just cool when it works out like that. Totally. But her new stuff is great. I love her new band. They're so tight. She's got a really good thing going. I know that was her first like big Austin show since all this went down. So she was pretty hyped to be there, and she crushed. It was great. I've had some gigs at Lambert's that were fucking like transcendent. That's a great room. Like when it's on. I think it's underrated, isn't it? Underrated? Yeah. You know, it's almost like the Continental Club Gallery. Like, you go up there, and like when you get there the first time, you're like, I don't know. Yes. This is kind of like restaurant-y and like oddly small, and there's no flow to it. It's like it's like everyone just kind of stuck in there in this weird thing upset. But
It's awesome.
I've had the same conversation with a few people because I feel the same way you do about
Yeah.
it. It's like, especially because Fair City Fire used to play there, so I knew a little better at this point of like, once the show starts, it's gonna feel fine, you know. But it does feel a little bit like odd when you walk in. You're like, okay, I gotta like bring my gear past these like waiters trying to do their job, and like, you know, it's just like a really weird kind of load in, and it's like you show up and it just feels like maybe a little bit too nice to do a rock show there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the show starts and you're just like, oh no, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And Danny is running sound there. Do you know Danny? He used to run sound at Stubbs, yeah.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, he's killer.
I can't remember the name of his band, but I remember my old band Gowdy. We used to get them to open for us because I loved his band. I can't remember what they're called. Fuck, I love.
Does he play guitar? I don't know that side of him really. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a great band. They were real cool. They were like real shoegazery.
Yeah, he's a badass. I loved working with him again. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's running sound at Lambert's all the time now.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's another. I remember when C3 took over that room. And
Yeah.
I got a gig there, and I got this email that was like, "How many people can you guarantee will come?" And it was the first time no one had ever done that before.
Right. Right.
Can you tell me the number of people that will come see you play?
That's such an uncomfortable question sometimes.
My response was so rude that I'm surprised we still had a gig afterwards.
Wow.
Like, I was just like...
What did you say?
Well, I have this band... I think I still have this band. I mean, we just haven't played in a long time, but with Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's. It's called Johnny. It was called Johnny in the Lazy Room. Now it's called Lady Band Johnson. But it's basically the Blue Bonnets and me. And everyone's like a fucking rock star in that band. So that was my response, was like, how many? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because you don't. Like,
You
when
don't.
people ask you that question, like, you know, I'll tell you what, between 20 and 200 people will be at my show.
Yeah.
I can pretty much guarantee that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing that you have to wrestle with because you don't want to, like, you know, overshoot it, and then you only sold half of those tickets, and then they're like, what the hell? And
Do they do tickets there now?
They do. Yeah. It's ticketed.
That's back?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so the tickets that don't come in, do you have to pay for them?
Oh, no.
But if it doesn't fill up, you got to, like, there's... That's the other thing I've noticed is that the...
it's not like
places now.
It's not like that.
No. But
Yeah.
places now, like places that you want to play, there's a pretty heavy like charge for
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah, Lambert's doesn't do that.
That's great.
Yeah, there was a production fee, but it was pretty small.
I mean, it should be, right?
yeah.
This place is fucking small, and you can
Yeah.
only make so much money there.
Yeah, and like they crushed in drink sales, so I'm sure they made their money as a business, you know. But it was great. I mean, it was just a really good experience, and I really, you know, want to say that just like the staff and the people booking there were awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Everything was
another
good.
thing that I find is that there's that a lot of places like that are like, as you move up in sort of like when you go play 310 or Moody Theater, it's like a red carpet for you. Like, even if you're playing, like we just played a private thing at Moody last Tuesday with Skyrocket, and they put your picture and name on the backstage door and stuff.
That's
know?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because then like the smaller venues that aren't like doing that much are just like
Assholes.
sometimes the
Can be
assholes.
assholes.
You're
Yeah,
just
it's
like,
weird.
why?
It's just like the music
Why are you
business.
like this? Yeah,
the further
yeah.
up you go, like you meet someone that does really, really well. They don't tell you how well they're doing, but you meet
That's
someone that's
so
not doing
true.
very well, and that's all they talk about.
Yeah, it's so
Drives me
true.
fucking crazy.
It's so true. And that's why sometimes I'm not a huge fan of like the networky kind of events.
Oh, God.
That stuff kills me. I know you guys do that with AMF a lot, and I try to show face at times, but like, man, you get into those conversations with somebody and it's just like
Some of them, yeah, but I mean, that's show
Yeah.
business, dude.
It's
you know
true.
what I mean?
You're
Like,
gonna
try
get
and
that
hang out in
anywhere.
LA. Go fucking
Yeah.
talk to an actor that's going on auditions all the time.
100%.
Jesus
You're
Christ.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
You're playing Saturday, June 25th with the band at the Green Jay
Yes. Love
with
that
Mohawk
spot.
bands.
Mohawk Bands. Yeah.
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 And that's the last place I saw you, right? During South by?
Yeah. Well,
I got super sick that week.
I
thought I had COVID.
I had bad allergies that week. I saw you at Native Hostel. I think.
Again?
I don't know.
I thought I saw you at both places.
No,
it was
I
Native
saw-
Hostel. It was after Native
Yeah.
Hostel that I got very sick.
And I saw you, Natalie Price's show.
At that party.
It was
was
this
at VJ.
I didn't go to that. I wanted to go, but I saw you at Texas Radio Live at Guero's. It was like a
Yes.
Wednesday night thing. Yeah.
Yes.
We got to hang. That was fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Natalie's
I was on a
incredible.
first date with a lady there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Didn't work out.
Sorry
Well, I
to
mean,
hear.
it didn't work out. Like, I think I had to bail on something, and then I think she took a serious offense to it.
Oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
You live, you learn.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? Are you just playing? Is that what you're doing for now that you're not working with the kids in a new groove?
Yeah. I'm doing a ton of gigs. I mean,
Yeah, you have one today, right?
yeah, I do at El Arroyo. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah. But yeah, it should be fun, man. But yeah, it's been pretty much like, I think I was supposed to have a gig on Sunday, and if I did, it would have been like a 7-day stretch of gigs in a row. Like, just, which isn't typical, but things are picking up. I'm starting to get
Yeah.
a lot more offers and stuff, and that's been pretty
That's
cool.
great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been good.
What else is going on? Like, what did you? Oh, there was another thing I wanted to ask you about, and it has
Yeah.
to do with the pandemic. And you, during that time, you also started a Patreon. How do you like that?
It's good. I mean, it's good in that people that really, really want to support you can have a way to do that. I'll say I definitely was a little bit more ambitious when I started it, as
Sure.
far as like the
Content.
things I was like, oh yeah, I can do this and this and this, and then I'm like, I don't think I thought forward enough to think about like, okay, when I'm back out there playing gigs and trying to promote shows, I don't have time for that shit anymore. Like, I just don't. Like, and it doesn't quite pay like enough to be like worth a lot of my time, you know? So it's a weird catch-22, but I do like it overall as a thing.
Yeah.
It's just maybe I just started to be a little bit more honest about it. You know, not honest, but a little honest with myself, I think, about it. It's just like, okay, this is not a thing where you're just like constantly making content on there. This is going to be a thing where if people want to support you, they can, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's become, and I'm becoming okay with that.
I've seen that happen with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I have a couple friends that started them, and they were like, and every time you talk to them, I got to go. I'm making this video for my Patreon people. I'm doing a live Zoom thing tonight with all my Patreon people. I'm doing a thing with my Patreon people. I'm sending this thing to my Patreon people. And then you talk to them a few months later, and you're like, how's that Patreon thing going? Like, oh, man, I just...
Yeah. Kind of becomes a little bit of a burden, especially if you promise too much.
Well, there's those things where there's like that model that, you know, the director Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
He-
I've been told I look like him when I wear a hat backwards.
Like Silent Bob?
Yeah.
You got long hair and a beard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got stopped at a bar like 3 times one time when I was wearing a white backwards hat. People were like, you know, you look like Silent Bob.
You should wear a trench coat.
I should.
Well, you know, he had a heart attack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had a heart attack.
I didn't know that.
At a show.
Oh, my God.
At a
Sucks.
stand-up
Yeah.
show or one of his...
In the middle of the show?
Speaking things. No, it was happening during it, but he went to the hospital afterwards, and it was
God.
one of those widow makers, like he was about to die.
Oh, my
kind of
God.
thing.
Wow.
And he's so gaunt looking now because he lost like 150 pounds or something.
Yeah.
But he looks real weird.
Yeah.
Like he's like
Oh, okay. Yeah.
odd. What was I saying about him? He was basically like, if you can find 10,000 people to pay you for your thing, you can make a living as an artist. And I think that Patreon thing makes a lot of sense on that level.
Yeah.
Of, you know, like, well, if you could, to me, I feel like, I mean, what else am I going to do? I mean, I play in Skyrocket. I make my songs. I do this AMF stuff. I do this podcast. Like, the fuck behind the scenes are you even going to get? Like,
Yeah.
me walking Rosie on the lake? Like, that's nothing.
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
the other thing I do other than all these things that you see me doing all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of like behind the scenes stuff that's like, okay, like I think it has to almost come from a place of like, people definitely care that I do this thing. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like it's like it gets, you know, Instagram kind of is the same thing sometimes where it's just like you see people's stories and it's like, I'm having these tacos at this place, and it's like, cool. Like, I mean, that's fine, but it's like, I want to see like behind the scenes music stuff, you know, but there's a certain level of like, you have to like fully believe that people will care about your everyday life stuff, you know, and I don't know. You know,
well, the thing is you're not just in competition with other musicians. Like, you know, your mom is fucking on there. Like, I had tacos at this place. Like, your mom's competing with you, and she's not even trying to be fucking famous. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything about your mom, but it's people's moms.
Yeah, it's true.
And aunts.
Yeah.
And your grandma will get more likes on a fucking picture than yours, and you're like, dude, I work really hard to try and get people to like me, and you're just an old lady.
Yes.
Thanks to you, I have a $10 electric bill. Can you believe that? That's amazing. I turn everything off. Like, I turn the AC off when I leave.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
I mean, that's about 5 days maybe of electricity. Sorry. I had a $10 electric bill because I've been going to Houston so much. Then the June 26th, you play at the Rail House Bar in Kyle.
Yeah, I'm excited to try that out. So the guy Greg Ware that used to book at 1-to-1 books down there now. So yeah, we got in touch, and he was like, let's try it out. So we're gonna give it a shot, see how it goes. I'm excited to get down to Kyle. I think that's part of my goal is to like play Austin, but like not super often as a full band, but try to get to like those outside of Austin towns a little bit more than I used to, because I think there's something about that like you can really connect with people out there.
Yeah, I mean, people are people.
Yeah,
and they're fans. Like, and as far as like your Patreon and like listening to your music, it doesn't matter where the fuck they are.
Right, and Kyle's like we talked about going on tour. We talked about doing a big thing, going up to New York. You can do a thing in Kyle.
You can do a thing in Austin, like the day apart, and that 30 minutes is enough, or not even 30, like 20 minutes is enough to sort of like make it two different markets.
Right.
I remember doing that. I remember having like in the 90s, having like for a summer, having like Wednesdays in San Marcos and Thursdays in Austin.
Yeah, that works.
Like, some people were at both shows, but it's two different cities as far as everyone's concerned.
And it's kind of nice to give people the option too.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this one's a lot closer to where you live. Cool.
Yeah.
Like,
so, you write these songs. Do you write and record them on your own, and like do like a GarageBand or Pro Tools or Logic or whatever?
I use Audacity. Super fancy.
Audacity.
Yes. No, it's I do like little demo versions, but it's not anything like I don't really know what I'm doing as far as recording stuff, but I can like track things and try to make sure they all are about the right volume that sounds nice. But that's about
you're
the
not into
extent
the
of what
creative artistic aspect of recording for yourself.
No, it's more of like practical, like I have a thing so I can hear this idea well enough to like, but I don't usually show that to people. Put that. Yeah, I'll just say that. But I mean, it's I will show it to like Frenchie, to be like, hey, this is the song idea I have. And it was kind of interesting when Frenchie and I started to work together, because when he first reached out, it was because he heard a Fair City Fire song on KLBJ. Loris Lowe was playing us at that time, and he got done with the studio day, heard our song Simple Stupid, and thought like, I want to work with these guys. And then he reached out, which was awesome because
that's pretty amazing, right?
I didn't know how to get a hold of him.
Yeah, there's people trying to get a hold of him. That guy's calling you. That's pretty fucking rad.
It was insane. It was the craziest message to get, because I really wanted to work with him, and I knew that, but it was just like, I don't even know how to get in touch with this guy, and then he's reaching out, and it was awesome. But then Fair City Fire wasn't ready, and then we were trying to write songs, but we just never really quite got to a point where we felt like we wanted to record again and do all that stuff. And then pandemic hit, we split up, and I was like, oh man, like that felt like an opportunity that's just kind of gone now. And then I reached out to him just like, hey, I've been writing stuff. I'm thinking about relaunching as a solo act. And he's like, cool, like send me the stuff you're working on. And so I just sent him these like crappy little demos that I came up with for these songs, and he had a lot of really cool things to say about it, and kind of called me and just started telling me about the vision he had for it. Like, I hear this like sort of thing on this song, and like it just really deep thoughts about these what I thought were sort of shitty tracks. Not that the songs were shitty. I'm very proud of those songs, but like just the recording method, I guess. But he saw through that and heard something really cool and was just like, basically like, yeah, I'm super excited to work with you and support what you want to do. So it was kind of a really big confidence boost of like, okay, I think things can pick back up after, after the pandemic. I can record again. I can have those moments like Lambert's again, where like we can play a big show and people care, and like, it's pretty cool.
Right. There is that feeling when your band breaks up, and I guess it must have been amplified or magnified during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit, man, those days are gone. What am I just going to be this guy?
Yeah.
Out at this fucking winery.
What do I do now? Yeah.
In Dripping Springs.
Right.
Playing a 3-hour show in the sun. Are you crazy? Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got it back together, and you really like came back like with balls to spare, man. Like these are great fucking songs, Brian.
Thanks, man.
Really, like you guys did a great job, and great choice going in there with Frenchie. And I know that that's a challenge because Frenchie doesn't always just do what you want.
No,
he's not like, he's got opinions. He's not scared to scare them, or scared to share them.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, we were just like totally on the same wavelength about most of it. Like just like, oh yeah, like that's totally what this song needs, and it's just like knowing that everyone's on the same has that same vision of making these songs great.
Yeah, helps
a lot.
Yeah,
of like, okay, he's not trying to like make this Frenchie song necessarily. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing that
like,
I've learned,
that thing.
Yeah, the thing that I've learned about him, because I've always thought he was great, but I definitely in my mind had him pigeonholed for a certain kind of sound, that like a kind of band that he was going to be working with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the Toadies, Jet, like
right.
Alternative rock bands.
Yeah.
Like,
which is, part
awesome.
of where I fit.
Hell yeah,
so,
dude.
Yeah.
That's the world I'm from.
Yeah.
Outside of the Pajama People.
Yeah.
That, by the way, was a funk rock band.
Oh, very nice.
Well, it was 89.
Yeah. Love it. I love it.
And we had a festive font. But what I learned is that guy really, he listens a lot to the artists. Because with this the artist development program, we're bringing in 6 artists that are completely different from each other.
Yeah,
they come in back to back, like 2 days each. Boom, boom, boom. Completely different, like R&B, punk rock, hip hop, fucking alt country, like it's fucking nuts, man.
Yeah,
and it's all like he adapts what he does to the song and the sound of the band.
I don't know how you can do that, but
I don't
so
either.
good at it. Yeah,
and I've never seen him be like, man, I'm tired. I'm kind of losing my focus. Never seen him do that. After like God knows how many hours, I'll come home, hang out with Rosie, take a nap, eat something, go back there, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'm bored. And he's like, and you're like,
he clearly loves it.
Yeah,
yeah,
he does clearly love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's good energy to be around.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
June 25th, unfortunately, I'll be playing a gig with Skyrocket that night.
That's how it goes,
Saturday,
man.
and Sunday I'm heading back to Houston to do another week and a half at the house. I'd make that sound like a sentence, but I want to be there.
Good, yeah.
So, but people should get out there. The Green Jay here in Austin. It's a good venue.
I love that spot.
I thought that place was cool.
Yeah, they really revamped it. I mean...
what was that, Beerland? No.
It was Beerland.
It was?
Yeah, yeah. And I'll say that the bathrooms are way nicer now.
Dude, Beerland seemed like herpes was going to jump on your face, like just when you walk in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That bathroom was almost as bad as CBGB's. Did you ever go up there?
No, I never went. I would have loved to.
I did this thing with this photo shoot when we played there with like Guitar World magazine or something, someplace where I just didn't belong. But they took me and our guitar player, like, well, I take you down to this famous, bathroom down here, and like you go down there, it's like Wow, they haven't, like, no one's come down here to, like, wipe this thing down since 1975, dude. Like,
Oh, my God.
It smelled of, like, it reeked of, like, puke and piss so badly that our guitar player and I were like, is there any other place in this building we can do? And the photographer was like, thank God, dude, let's go upstairs.
That's, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so interesting how, like, the legacy of what we do, a lot of it is, like, around, like, just places being filthy. You know,
I remember
like,
changing my shoes backstage, and I stood on a chair because I wouldn't put my bare feet on the ground of that place. I was like,
I don't
dude,
blame you.
Those people had, like, hepatitis and
Yeah.
stuff like
Oh my
that. Like,
God. Yeah.
Well, plus I had known all the stories of Hilly, the guy that owned it, and his dog that would just shit everywhere in there.
Oh my
So I
God.
was like, yeah. And nobody scrubbed those floors.
No.
30-year-old dog shit. Anyway. So it used to be Beerland.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's great now. I mean, it sounds really good in there. It's a good room.
Natalie
I'm
Price
excited
is
about
great.
it. Yeah, she is.
I got to play on a couple of her tunes when she recorded at the Bubble.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah, in
Playing
fact,
some piano?
one of them, no, I played that Mellotron.
Oh, yeah. I love that thing.
Ever since he got that thing, I was like, and I got bummed because at one point I left for a little while and I came back and he was letting Natalie play it. And I was like, that was my special thing that I did.
I was the special Mellotron boy.
But yeah, no, she's such a great, wonderful artist,
yeah.
man.
I got to mess around on that Mellotron a little bit on Hope You Stay. That was
yeah?
super fun. Yeah, some of those like little kind of random like accordion sounds and stuff like that.
I need to find a way where he'll only call me when it needs to be done. What can I do that would set me up? Well, I guess if I played well, that would be one thing.
Can you maybe make it your middle name or something, like when you promote yourself? Like,
John Mellotron. Johnny Mellotron. He's here, baby.
dude, I'm telling you, man, this is
I've
your
been
new
chasing
path.
down fucking Christine Renner because she borrowed my thing like 6 months ago. Have you seen the Mellotron pedal?
No.
Oh, dude. You run your guitar through it. Play
Okay.
fucking Strawberry Fields, like all the Mellotron sounds.
Oh,
they're,
man.
They're amazing. You
Okay.
get like maybe 8 of them. But
Okay.
They're the good ones. The choirs, the orchestras, the flutes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Everybody get out there and check out the Punch EP, available wherever it is you stream and download your music. Tim Moen
Yep.
and Joe Valadez, Brian Wolff. BrianWolffMusic.com is a place where you can see it. You can find out, you see videos there. You can find out more about the band. Greetings from Wherever podcast, the Patreon, which he's not going to give you much for. I don't mean that bad. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I think
let's be
people
honest
should probably
about
get
it.
ready.
Yeah.
That's what I always felt about Kickstarter. Like, people would be
Yeah.
like, oh, let's do a Kickstarter. And I'd be like, dude, then not only do you have to make an album and like mix it and then go out and play shows and do all this shit, you got to fulfill God knows how many people's fucking wishes.
Oh, yeah.
And like handwrite
So much
shit.
work.
Like,
Yeah.
no way, man.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, congratulations on a great album.
Thanks,
It's
man.
great talking to you.
I appreciate it, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sorry they paid me to be here to sing these songs.
That was Brian Wolff. Check out his EP, Punch. Available now wherever it is you stream and download your jams. All the great songs on here. The Punch is a great song, great video for that song. Get out there and check it out. BrianWolffMusic.com. The Punch, great EP. Also, he'll be playing Saturday, June 25th here in Austin at the Green Jay. All right? Go to Brian Wolff Music for all your Brian Wolff needs. And don't forget, when you're checking out BrianWolffMusic.com, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is you find podcasts, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday. Well, maybe one a little late on a Wednesday. Hey, every once in a while that happens to me. Is that okay? Is that so wrong? Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. Thank you for listening. Share the show. All right? Let's get down.
This constant battle